Hey, thank you again for your time. This is Karanja James. So, without wasting time, yesterday we covered on how to qualify a customer. So, you have to understand before even you qualify a customer, you have gotten the contact, you have presented. After presentation, this is why you qualify the customer. That video we covered it yesterday. Today we are going to cover how to close a person. Why? But before we close, I would like you to understand why you need to close, because everything is made to be alive or to be around because of another thing. So one thing makes another things to exist. So before even we think how to close, and for those people who doesn't know how to close, what is closing? Closing is the final stage before a customer is able to give you the money. But always, I want you to understand this, always remember 50 to 60% of the sales are made during presentation. So you find that most of the customer, happens in real estate. It happens in real estate. So you find that most of the customer have already made a decision to buy a product, because real estate is the only business that does not lose value or does not lose money. So you find that most of the people who have bought product, project or property, they have already made a decision to invest. The only thing that starts between a customer and the buying time is because you want to get the best of the deal, the best out of the best deal. So you'll find that most of the people who are going to buy real estate, they have maybe 10 or 12 or 5 to 6 property they want to compare, because they want to make the best decision. So you have to understand most of the sales are made during presentation. So if you're preparing your presentation, make sure it's a top notch, make sure it's the best deal that ever exists. If you're selling a property, if you're selling a project, make sure you have all the amenities that can be made by a developer, because the customer is going to make a decision without even you trying to close that person. So understand, 50% of the people who buy, they buy during presentation. So you have to be very smart, very quick. You have to give the best product. So you don't close or you don't present without having a product or a service. Make sure you have the best. I cannot insist on this enough. Make sure you have the best product in the field. Make sure you have done the best out of the best. If your competitors doing this, make sure you have the best out of the best. When you have the best product, you will always be easy to close. But you cannot be there singing the song of closing, or you want money when your product is not top notch. When you compare with your enemies, your friends, your competitors, is of less value. Because when you're doing presentation, one thing that you communicate 100%, it is the value. Everybody wants to get the value of their money. As I said yesterday, very many people are willing to buy, but very few people are able to buy. So make sure before even you come to this video of closing, make sure you have a good product, you have done the presentation, you have talked to customer well, but there are people, the 50% that is remaining needs closing. Are you together? The other 50% of people you have presented to need closing, and you cannot know why they need closing, because maybe very many things. So number one reason why you need closing, number one, you have to understand that you are not the only one in the market. Closing, it's difficult. You are not the only in the market. So there are other people who have the same product, even better. So if you know your product is not better, you have to do powerful closing. There are people that you cannot compete with. There are companies that you cannot compete with. There are those companies we call the blue chip companies. The blue chip companies, you cannot compete with those blue chip companies, because their product is wow, and they can give value, because they know we are those people who are selling the same product. They don't have that they have money to invest in the product. That's why you need closing, because most people who buy from those big companies, those financial managing companies, banks, they have the best product. So if you know that your competitor has more much that you can do, has more value, you need closing. You need closing. Closing is qualifying a customer. You know what happens during closing, if you don't understand, is there is tension. When someone loses money, there is this fear of failure. You know, whenever someone is buying something, there is always this tension that builds up in the stomach. Not now. Before someone makes a decision to buy something, you have to understand that money builds tension. You know, you might be having this person who may be investing in real estate. He has saved that money for 10 months, for 2 years, for 5 years. Some people are investing their pension, their insurance. So you have to understand that losing money or giving money, it's not easy. There's always tension that builds up. This is why you need closing. If you're a salesperson, if you find that there is tension, a customer is building tension, there is when you have to build tension, because a customer has had an experience, has had a bad part of their life. He has had some people being called their money. So the customer must always have this tension. And it's everybody. I have my own tension, you have your own tension. Fears are there for everyone, but there are people who is used to investment. There are people who are there always investing. So those people who have practiced investing, they are the easiest to close, because they know what the product will do for them and their generation. But a person who is maybe investing for the first time, he has to build tension. So as a salesperson, it's for you to communicate value to this person, and you qualify this person to make the right decision. Do you know people making the right decision, some has to be forced? You know, I usually say, when you have a kid and that kid is not able to walk on his 2 feet, you'll do whatever it takes to train that kid to walk. The same case here. There are people who need to be told to do the right thing during investment. So that's why I said in the first of these, the first videos, I said you have to make your product very good, the best product ever, so that you can be able to push this person to make the right decision in investment. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever bought a product that you'll never use? Have you ever bought a product when you go at home, some people, maybe your friends or relatives or your husband ask you, did you buy this product? So you find that, the reason why I'm saying this, you find that there are people who force other people to buy things that they will never want, or they will never need, or they will never use, or they can't afford. So this video is not for those people. I'm always talking to those people who sell products that are going to assist our clients. They are going to make sure that our clients are able to make a decision to invest. So make sure that when you are trying to talk to a customer, you're trying to close a customer, you understand that you're making this customer to make the right decision. You're not there to get the money, you're not there to get the commission. Make sure you qualify this customer, then the product that you are using or the service is of value. So make sure that you are talking value. And when the product is of value, and the reason I give example with real estate, because it's almost 100%. You have to make sure that you are assisting this person, this young person, to make the right decision. You know, you make the right decision. That's why even sometimes you have to give installments to these people to make sure that these people are making the right decision. That's why I'm here. I always make my customer make the right decision. It's not about the money. It's not about feeling good. It's about making the right decision. So when you're closing, you have to make sure you're able to overcome the fears. So when you're talking to your customer, you have to know what to ask. There are what things we call the qualifying questions, the closing question. You have to make sure the customer is able to unwind the previous, the information, the things that the customer has ever had. You have to make sure that you get the right thing. Make sure your customer knows, you know where your customer stands. So you have to draw a graph, you know. Make sure, is the customer hot or cold? What is the previous engagement? Has he ever been stolen from? You have to understand where the customer is, so that you can be able to ask the closing question. This closing question is to make sure that you are able to move this customer smoothly to making the right decision. So most people must be forced to make the right decision, and that's what you are as a sales person. People have fears of paying much, you know. There are people who have fear of paying much. There are people who have fear of making mistakes. People have ever made a mistake. You have ever made a mistake. I've never made mistakes. So you have to be able to qualify that this customer, whatever you're selling them, is not going to be a mistake to them, you know. Have you ever had a customer telling you, you know, let me call you back. The product you're selling to me, the car you're selling to me, the real estate you're selling to me is a good thing, but let me talk to my wife, you know. I'll get back over you. Send me some photos, you know. That customer tells you that he has fears in his heart and in his mind and in his soul. So you have to make sure that this customer asking this question, you have to tackle the problem, the rejection that customer is having, to make sure that you're able to qualify this customer to say yes. To say yes, to make the right decision. Many customers says, let me talk to my spouse, you know, let me talk to my wife, let me talk to my husband, let me talk to my neighbor. Make sure you're able to qualify this customer from saying these objections, and the customer is not rejecting you. This customer is making this rejection because of the previous engagement, because what he has had with people, because negative news always get to people more than the positive news. Bad things always get to people very much. So if a person or a friend or a neighbor or someone was talking to someone and he has been defrauded, he has been stolen from, you know, he will always get that information first before he can get the value of this product or the service that you're selling. So make sure you're able to transfer, make sure you're able to sell smooth. The reason for closing is not to force people to afford to buy things that they don't want. Make sure that you understand that. The reason you do closing is not to defraud people. You are trying to assist these people to make the right decision. Make sure what you are selling to people is able to solve their problem. You know, what you are selling is able to be afforded. It can be able to be used for the customers. So I hate those people who close, who force people to buy things that they don't want because of the money, of the greed. I don't do that. I'll always encourage people to sell product to people or services that are solving their problem. You know, there are people who have money, they don't know where to invest. Give them the reason to, give them the value, solve a problem. You know, your product or service must solve a problem, and you have to engage that value. You have to communicate value. You have to pass this customer of the fears the customer has. If you're a salesperson, that's your work. I cannot repeat again, that's your work. And I usually say, have this saying, I've never said it in this video, if I cannot buy, I'll not sell. So if that thing I can buy, I'm also going to sell it to another person. The reason being, if I can use it, someone also is going to use it. So make sure that you're able to make the customer make the right decision. Customer wants to have this rejection out of him. He wants to get the value of his money, So those are the reasons why you close. The reason why you close is to sell smooth your customer making the right decision. That's why you close. If you don't have anything close to this, you should not close, and that is final. Thank you.